We're going to be doing the quadratic formula. It is definitely the best day that you'll have in this class. The best day.
Is this your favorite thing?
This is my favorite. This is my favorite. I love the quadratic formula.
Ew.
And so will y'all.
Of course you.
No, thank you.
No, I really do like it. All right, let's fill in these blanks here. This is a b squared. And down here, this other blank is 2a. Yes, so this right here is the quadratic formula. You do need to memorize it. I am not going to give it to you. I am not going to put it on a poster.
What's the song that goes to you?
I'm going to sing the song.
No.
We're all going to sing the song.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
No.
All right, so you do have to memorize it. There is a song.
We already know it.
I know.
I don't.
Some people do, some people don't.
Tennessee did.
Okay, shh. Are you ready? I'm going to sing it. It goes to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. So here it goes. It goes, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
No. I love that.
I could not hear a tune in that one song.
I sound like what?
Lucas the spider.
There's
I don't know
no
who
beat.
that is.
It doesn't have rhythm.
Sorry.
He's so cute. He's a little animated spider.
Yes. where's my-
We'll do it. No. Later. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time, and then we are going to do it all as a class. Even you, Kiandra. All as a class. All right, so I'll do it one more time by myself. Ready? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Y'all are so childish. I can't.
Okay, ready? As a class, so far, third period has done the best. Just saying. Third period has done the best so far.
Do we get candy?
I don't know. Okay. All right, on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Wait, stop. Kiandra, you are not singing.
Kiandra.
We're going to have to do it again, Kiandra. You need to at least mouth it, Kiandra.
You sound like Alvin and his chipmunk.
Yes,
Alvin.
All right, one more time. Ready? X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Yay!
Good job. Good job.
That part.
I'm going to still say third period did better.
Can we go again? Faith and I can do a duet performance of
A
it.
duet.
Harmonizing
Y'all
and
can
everything.
win. I'm not doing it.
All right. So, the first part of the notes for today, I want to focus on what is called the discriminant. So, the discriminant of the quadratic formula is the b squared minus 4ac. All right, so it's just do what?
Do you love this so much just because it has a song?
I do. I've sang it to Jacob before,
I do it.
and he loves it too.
Oh my god.
So,
I like how these teachers
That is
are
a-
turning their kids into
I don't.
nerds.
Yeah, that is a beauty. Oh my god.
Their kids are gonna go to school. You want to know the quadratic? No.
Dude.
What is that? You'll learn it later. In kindergarten. You'll learn it later.
all right. So the discriminant is those numbers underneath the root, and the reason why the discriminant is so important is because you can tell things about your solutions without actually finding the solution. So it saves you time, and it makes your life a lot easier. You don't have to do as much work, right? Work smarter, not harder. That kind of method.
Honey, I don't know how to do that.
So, let's talk about the discriminant. First, if your discriminant is greater than 0,
Oh my god.
which means that it is positive. All right, so if your discriminant is positive, then you are going to have 2 real solutions.
Boom chili.
We know this because of the plus minus sign. The plus is going to give us one solution. The minus is going to give us another solution. And because it's positive, it'll be some number. Does that make sense? So if your discriminant is positive, then I know I have two real solutions. And because I have two solutions, it's going to cross my x-axis in two spots. We don't know where, but we know it's crossing it twice.
We know it's positive because of the b. It doesn't have a minus in front of it.
Yeah.
If the whole b squared minus 4ac is positive. So if that whole number turns out to be positive, then you have two real solutions. No, before the root. Just the numbers.
I don't even want to.
All right, next. Shh. Faith. Shh.
One time I wasn't talking, you told me to shh.
I thought I heard you.
That was her.
Isabel. Shh.
And then she didn't say.
If your discriminant equals 0. So look here. If your discriminant equals 0, all of this goes away, including your plus minus. So how many solutions are you going to have? One.
One.
Because you have the negative b over 2a. So you're going to have one real solution. And so it is going to hit your x-axis one time. So your graph will kind of sit on the x-axis. All right, last one. If your discriminant is less than 0, so if your discriminant is negative, very good, you get an imaginary because then you have a negative under the root, and so you will have imaginary. So if it's imaginary, your graph is floating. So you can say you have 0 real solutions, or we can get more specific and say 2 imaginary solutions. So
No.
Oh, I finally get what she's doing.
Oh, I was like, what is she saying?
Oh my god.
all right, ready?
Uh-huh.
I need you to focus. Focus. Faith. Faith.
Dang, that's a real laugh.
We still have a lot more to do, and we got to get through this.
This is sad. Are we doing the back too?
Uh-huh. All right.
I guess I'll take a picture.
Determine the number and type of solutions by using the discriminant. So all I want to know are the numbers and the types. All right, so I don't actually care about what the solution is. So I'm going to use the discriminant of b squared minus 4ac to figure out what kind of solutions I have. All right, on this first one, before you can find your A, your B, and your C, you need to move everything to one side. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. So I have, I would put it in order, yeah. So I have x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. So move everything to one side. And I know you don't have a whole lot of room, so I'm sorry about that. All right, the A is the number with the x squared, the B is the number with the x, and the C is the number all by itself. So what number is with the x squared? 1. What number is with the B? And what number is with the C? 9. Okay?
Oh my god.
So I am going to use the b squared minus 4ac. So b is 6. No, that's right. Minus 4. A is 1. Shh. If you're talking, please quit. You should be focusing up here because this stuff is difficult. And when you have questions over it later, I am not going to help you. You should be paying attention now. All right, and then your C is 9. Alright, so what is 6 squared? 36. What is negative 4 times 9?
Negative 36.
Negative 36. So it's 0. So how many solutions do you have? One solution.
Wait.
Because look, we're looking right up here.
Oh, wait.
If your discriminant is 0, you have one solution. And is it real or imaginary?
It is real.
It is real.
She ain't
Yes.
coming back.
So there's actually
It gets harder. Oh, yeah.
That song in the bathroom.
Girls, I have my headphones in my pocket.
All right, number 2. So, in the past, we have always kept x squared positive, but when you're doing the quadratic formula, it doesn't matter. So if you want to, you can move the x squared to the other side. So you get negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 5. And so my a is, my b is, and my c is. Alright, and so we're going to use the discriminant again. So b squared, 4 squared minus 4, a is negative 2, c is 5. Alright, so what is 4 squared?
16.
16. What is 5 times negative 2?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. What's negative 10 times negative 4? Positive 40. And so I get 56 as my discriminant. So how many solutions do I have? 2 solutions, because it's positive. So I'm looking at this guy right here. And what is the type? They are real. All right, so it's going to get harder. We're going to have to use the whole quadratic formula on the back, but this is just if it is asking you about the number and type of solutions. You don't actually have to do the whole steps. All right, so the discriminant makes it easier. All right, flip it over on the back. Here we go, getting into the good stuff. The good stuff. All right. So on these, I want to use the quadratic formula to actually find the solutions. All right, so I want to find the solution. Step 1 is going to be to write it in standard form. So you got to move everything to one side. So I'm going to move the 4. So I have 3x squared minus x minus 4. Step 2, find the a, the b, and the c. So what is my a? 3. What is my b? What is my c? Okay. Now you are going to use the quadratic formula and simplify. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so
Just put the song on repeat during the test because I don't know what it is.
no. So for the formula, I have negative b. What happens if the b is already negative though? Turns positive. So x equals positive 1 plus minus the square root, negative 1 squared minus 4 AC, so 3 and negative 4. And then don't forget, all over 2 times A. So I haven't done anything except for just fill in all the A, B, and C's.
You can't use the calculator for this.
Yes, you can.
I was gonna say that's a lot of squares. Square.
You might be asked sometime, not right now, but to do it by hand. Like, I don't know if it would be an ACT question or something. And so just know you can do it by hand. It would just be some multiplication computations you would have to do. You know what I mean? Like, you'd have to do 1 squared minus and whatever all of that multiplied is. But for my class, you can use a calculator. I really want you to focus on using the quadratic formula as opposed to all of the multiplying. So, for using a calculator, to make sure that everything turns out right and you get the right answer, this is what I recommend. First, figure out what your discriminant is. You're just going to type all of that stuff in. Do not type the square root. All right, do not type the square root. Just type in all of that. And you get 49. So I typed it in earlier and you get 49. All right, so now you have x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 49. And then 2 times 3 is 6. And then we have to see if we can simplify farther. So you're going to look at your root. You have a couple things that could happen. One, your root cannot break down, or you can break your root down, but it's not like a perfect square, like we've done in the past. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, so that could happen. You break it down, and you would leave it. It would look something like this as your answer. We'll probably get to one like that. 2, you could have an I in there, all right? And so you pull your negative out, put an I, break it down, try to simplify. And it would look something like this, but with an I. And then 3, I believe is the hardest problem is something like this, where it actually works out perfectly. So what is the square root of 49? 7. So now you have 1 plus or minus 7 over 6. So even though you would think the ones that work out perfectly are going to be the easiest ones, I think they're actually the hardest ones. Because this is not simplified. Because all of these are regular numbers, you have to take it and break it apart.
You have to do 1 plus 7, 1 minus 7.
Yep. 1 plus 7 over 6, 1 minus 7 over 6. You have to actually figure out what that number is. All right, and the only reason why you're doing it on this one is because there are no roots, there are no i's. If you have roots or i's, you can't do anything. Does that make sense? All right, but when it all works out perfectly and you have regular numbers, you just got to take it as far as you can. 1 plus 7 over 6, 8 over 6, which reduces to 4 over 3. Sorry, it's getting small. And then 1 minus 7, negative 6 over 6, which is negative 1. Okay, let's try number 4. I know, long notes today, long day. Tomorrow, though, all you're doing is working on the practice. So no notes tomorrow, all you're doing is working on the practice. All right, first we got to move everything to one side so we can find our a, b, and c. So 3x squared minus 10x plus 5 equals 0. So what's my a value? What's my b value? What's my c value? Very good. All right, and so then we're going to use the formula x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you haven't memorized and you don't want to write it, you don't have to. It is a good way to memorize, though, if you just write it every time until you got it. All right, so negative b is going to be what? 10, a positive 10, because it's already negative, plus minus the square root of negative 10 squared minus 4 times 3 times 5. Good. All over
2
times 3. Make sure for your fraction bar, it is all over. So even over the 10, all over. That's something that a lot of people do. All right, so just like before, we're going to type this stuff in the calculator. You can answer, say Stahl's room. So negative 10 squared minus 4 times 3 times 5. And you get 40. 5. So I have x equals 10 plus or minus the square root of 40 over 6. Are we good so far? Haven't lost any of y'all? Okay. Now, square root of 40, does it break, is there a square root?
No.
No, but we can break it down, right?
Yeah.
So 40 breaks down to 10 and 4. 4 breaks down to 10 breaks down to So I have a pair of 2's with a 2 and a 5 left over. Yep, so we can rewrite that as 2 square root of 10 over 6. And then we just have one final step. So are y'all caught up with me? Okay. One final step. Look at all your outside numbers, all 3 of them. Can you divide them all by something? 2. So do that. Can't mess with the inside. Inside staying home. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, plus or minus. You can put the 1 there, but you don't need it. Over 3. And that's the answer. Yeah, if you want to put the 1 there, that's fine. And that's your answer. Because you can't simplify anything farther because it has that root. Okay, let's do one with an I. So let's drop down here to 7. Let's do 7. So I know it has an I because it says complex solutions. So that means it has an I. All right, so on number 7, what's the first step? Right. Move everything on one side, put it in order. So 3x squared minus 2x plus 4 equals 0. All right, what is my A? What is my B? And what is my C? All right, so x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so x equals negative b is going to be what? A positive 2 because it's already negative, plus minus negative 2 squared. Mm-hmm. Good. All right, in the calculator, I'm going to type in my discriminant, negative 2 squared minus 4 times 3 times 4. Hit enter. And I get negative 44. All right, is there a root of 44, or square root? No. So we have to try to break 44 down. So let's see, where do I want to do that here? 11 and 4. And then 4 breaks down to, all right, so I got a pair of 2's with an 11 left over. So I can write this as 2 plus minus. The pair comes on the outside, and so does the I because of the negative. So the 2 from the pair here, the I from the negative, and then your leftover guy has to stay home. Does that make sense? Okay, and then last step, what can you divide those 3 numbers by? 2. So let's divide them all by 2.
So if it's with an I, we divide by what we cannot divide by?
Yes, yep. So 1 plus minus 1i square root of 11 over 3. You don't need it, no. You need this one here because you can't just have it like nothing. But you don't need this one because the I is there. Yeah, you could.
So you don't have to put like 2 parentheses and 1 plus or minus.
Wait, what?
So you don't have to like put 2 parentheses, 1 plus or minus 1 I.
No.
Okay.